Today we just heard a remarkable gospel. The Lord walking on the water, and the apostles crying out for fear. And Peter, God bless him, says, "Lord, if it is you, have me come across the water to you." I don't know why this made sense to him. Because if it wasn't the Lord, who was it to say, "Yeah, sure, go ahead"? But the fact is, he walked on the water, so it was clear right away. It was, in fact, the Lord. So there should have been no further doubt. And so he was able to walk across the water. But what happened? He lost that clarity. He lost that faith. He began to sink and to struggle. And the Lord, when he lifts him up, as he say, "Oh, ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" Man, the guy can't catch a break. How much faith did it take in the first place to walk on water? That was no little faith, was it? That's rough. I would not want to be Peter. I would not want to be in that position. Can't win in that position. But you know what? We are all in that position. We are all in that difficult strait. Because God has called us to walk on water. That is to say, He has all called us to step into the unknown. To step into a life of faith. To step into a life in which we must trust that we are going to be uplifted and supported and helped by God to accomplish His great purpose for us. It doesn't mean that we are called to have a prosperity that God will bless because He wants us all to be wealthy. That's not where I'm going. I hope you don't take it that way. But the spiritual life, a life of living in faith, a life of living beyond fear, beyond doubt, beyond selfishness, and to walk in the gospel. It is as challenging and as difficult and as demanding of our faith as it would be to walk on water. In fact, to a certain extent, maybe walking on water would be easier because in that case it was just a short distance, right? The gospel calls us to walk for the rest of our life in faith. To walk for the rest of our life, trusting that God is the Lord and has revealed Himself to us. That He will carry us and bring us to that place He wants us to be, in His kingdom. So it is a challenge. Every day we are challenged to walk in faith, in little ways, and sometimes in big ways. But how often it is that we question, we wonder, Lord, are you really still there? Did you really call me to this life? Did you really want me to be a Christian? Is this really the road of the cross? Is this really the road that you took for us? And is it really the road that you want me also to follow by taking up my cross? It's hard. It's hard to be a Christian. And so we hear today also in St. Paul's epistle to the Corinthians, the first epistle, about God's building, of what God has created in us, and what God has prepared for us. If we are built on that foundation of faith, the faith in Jesus Christ, the Son of God, then we have an opportunity to really have this spiritual life. This life which will not just be something that came and went and was like a puff of smoke in the wind, like some kind of existential nightmare of suffering and then nothingness. But notice what the apostle says. What you build with will be tested by fire. Gold and silver or wood or hay or straw. What is he talking about? Does that have anything to do with actual mineral gold or material straw? If we're looking at this in terms of the spiritual life, we need to understand what these things symbolize. in the spiritual life. Those things which are gold, the gold standard of the spiritual life, what are they? Faith, hope, charity. All of the virtues, humility, patience, kindness. These are the building blocks of gold because they radiate the light and the glory of God. They reflect that light beautifully back to God. Silver, maybe those virtues that are unique to individuals, but not necessarily universal for everybody. Those highlights. But the wood and the straw, those things that will not stand the fire, these are the things that we think are important, but really don't stand the test of time. Those things that we think are important in the world, and maybe they're important for worldly success, popularity, wealth, riches, skill, accomplishments, ambition. Those things which seem so important that we spend so much time working to build our life on. But in the end, time will consume them and show them to be of very little significance whatsoever. And what is hay and straw with that which almost has no lasting value whatsoever? Those things which we have spent so much of our time on, wasting our time on, bad habits, trivial pursuits, distractions and entertainments. All of our life is composed of those types of things. We all have them in our life. We all have a different measure and a different mixture of those materials. But they will all be tried by the fire, not just the fire of time itself, but the fire of God's love. Because that is the fire that is consuming. That is the fire of judgment. Does it stand in the presence of God's love? Does it stand in the presence of God's glory? Or is it nothing? Is it meaningless? Does it have no lasting value or purpose? That is the fire which truly we will all be immersed in. St. John and Chrysostom wrote of this fire that this is the fire of judgment itself. So even those, if all they have is wood and straw, they will remain, but they will have nothing to show for themselves. Their life will be nothing but consumption. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The worm will not die, nor the fire go out. These are the words of the Lord's judgment. Because in the face of God's glory, if all we have is the meaningless stuff, the passing junk of accumulated experiences with no real noble purpose, with no real virtue, with no real change or glorifying of God in our lives, then that is the judgment on us. So brothers and sisters, let us walk on the water, leave the wood of the boat, and begin building a boat of glory, a vessel of gold and silver, a vessel that will stand and will reflect the glory of God. That we become, instead of melted and destroyed and burnt, will become burnished and even more glorious than it was before. Shining back to God with thanks, His glory, and showing that our life was not misspent, but was built for a purpose. God says, you are the temple of the Spirit. You were given for a purpose, so that I might dwell in you and you might dwell in me. If we did not build a temple worthy of the Holy Spirit in our lives, where will He dwell? How will He dwell in us? He's already given us everything we need to accomplish His will, and He continues to do so. So even after we step on the water, we can still continue to take steps. We can make our way all the way there if we have the faith and we accept the gift that He gives us. O ye of little faith, why did you doubt? Why do we doubt? Why do we mix our gold and silver with so much detritus and dust. Let us walk boldly in faith, brothers and sisters in Christ. Let us walk boldly on water every day of our lives. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Christ is among us.